Nike has an oversupply problem. I don't know if you saw this, but I know you're a sneakerhead, and so I immediately thought of you when I saw this. But they have really built their business on some of their lines, like the Air Jordans or the Air Force Ones, around scarcity. Right? It was one of these things where they intentionally did not make more than they could sell, and as a result, this was a status item. It was something that, like, wow, you got the new Jordans, that's awesome. And so these shoes for the longest time have been collector's items, and there's been a massive resale market for these shoes. Well, about a year ago, Nike decided that they wanted to lean into these franchises a little bit more and turn each of them into a multi-billion-dollar franchise. And so they did report $51 billion in sales this last year, but in the process, they kind of traded long-term value for short-term growth, and they diluted their brand pretty dramatically on these lines. And so, because these shoes have become more commonplace, they've run into a situation where Nike now makes more Jordans than they're able to sell. And it used to be that you could take these shoes, you could sell them on StockX or Go and make a profit. And Nike has their own app. I don't know if you've used it, called Sneakers. But when these shoes would go up on the Sneakers app, they usually would sell out within seconds. And now they're like in stock and always there, and just kind of there. Well, Nike stock has taken a beating. They're slowing down quite a bit. Their CEO just announced that they're stepping down, and it's just this really interesting conversation around how much supply is too much supply. A lot of times in supply chain, we think about, like, the worst thing that's possible is to run out of inventory, and for most products that's true. But when you have something that is a borderline luxury item, and you have something that is really meant to be a status symbol, making too much of it actually destroys that brand. And I wouldn't bet against Nike, but I don't know how they're going to turn this around, because they've really damaged themselves for the next 5 years at least.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot goes into the brand, right? I mean, as a sneakerhead, you see my Nike SB wall behind me. I have been a collector since like middle school, right? I mean, Nike SBs is always what I've loved and collected, and I think the sneaker market kind of fluctuates. Like, at least the collector market category in the sneaker market kind of fluctuates based on market conditions, right? Like during ZIRP and zero interest rate environments, like the cost of collector Nike SBs was like insane. It was just through the roof. And I think it's definitely come down a bit, but there's still some collectors that just like hold and admire the shoes like me. And I think overall, like, yeah, of course, when you oversupply, there's kind of that mismatch between oversupplying and then, if there's too much supply, how can this really become like a collector or like a hyped upon shoe? So yeah, it's a pretty interesting take.